There are rooms the world has forgotten. Places where time stopped breathing but didn't quite die. A door that still creaks open, a curtain that sighs when the wind remembers to visit. In those places, dust speaks. It gathers on every surface like a soft voice saying, "Something once lived here." Every particle is a memory suspended in air. A tiny echo of what used to matter. We think of dust as silence, but it isn't. It's the slow conversation between endings and beginnings. The language of what remains when everything else has moved on. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it. A faint shimmer in the light. A whisper of footsteps that once filled the hall. Dust doesn't judge. It settles on broken things and sacred things alike. On photographs fading at the edges, on the piano no one plays, on the chair where someone used to wait. It reminds us that nothing ever truly disappears. It just changes its shape. The sound of dust is the sound of memory breathing. The quiet exhale of a life that once burned brightly. We rush to clean it, to wipe it away. As if forgetting could make us innocent again. But every time the cloth moves, something ancient stirs beneath. Something that asks, "Do you remember me?" We call it decay, but maybe it's devotion. Because dust only gathers where life has touched. It's proof that something happened here. Something worth leaving a trace. Maybe that's why old places feel heavier. Why abandoned houses hum with a sound we can't name. It's the sound of all that was loved still echoing. Trying to find a way back into the light. If you stand still long enough, you'll notice the air begin to glow. Tiny particles turning in the sun like memories refusing to settle. They drift between light and shadow. A dance between what is gone and what remains. Dust doesn't rush. It has all the time we've forgotten to keep. And maybe that's its quiet revenge. To remind us that stillness is the only way to truly see. In the stillness, you start to hear your own past moving through you. The rooms you've left behind. The people you never got to thank. The versions of yourself that still wait somewhere in the dark. The sound of dust isn't loud. It's the soft reminder that nothing stays untouched. That even absence leaves a residue. And in that residue, in that fragile shimmer of what was, there's a kind of grace. A kind of truth we only hear when the noise has finally fallen away. We spend our lives trying to outpace time. Painting walls, buying clocks, pretending the years don't whisper behind us. But dust is patient. It waits for the moment we forget to look. One day, the rhythm of living slows. The light hits differently. And we notice the thin layer of truth settling quietly across everything we own. It's strange how it gathers where love once lived. The photo frame beside the bed. The letters in the drawer you haven't opened in years. The shelves filled with names of people who once felt eternal. It covers them gently, like a blessing. Like the world is trying to preserve the last breath of something we didn't know was already fading. We try to keep our spaces clean. We call it order, but maybe it's denial. Because to live without dust is to live without time. Without the evidence that we've been here at all. Dust knows our secrets. It remembers the touch of every hand that's ever brushed a surface in passing. It carries the pollen of summers long gone. And the skin cells of laughter that once filled a room. Each speck is a relic. A tiny museum of us. And yet, we keep sweeping it away. As if we can erase the quiet proof that we are impermanent. But maybe impermanence isn't a flaw. Maybe it's the only reason beauty exists. Because the moment we try to hold on forever, the moment we fight the falling, the story ends. The sound of dust is the sound of surrender. Not in defeat, but in grace. The gentle acceptance that life leaves fingerprints even as it fades. Sometimes I wonder if heaven is less a place and more a pause. A moment when everything we've lost gathers again as light in the air. When the dust of all we've been finally settles. And we see the pattern it was always forming. There's a kind of mercy in the way dust moves. How it floats between chaos and calm. Unhurried, unafraid. It reminds us that stillness isn't emptiness. It's presence without demand. Maybe that's why the oldest buildings hum. The walls remember every voice, every silence, every confession. Even when the people are gone, the air still knows their names. We call that haunting. But maybe it's something softer. Maybe it's love that never learned how to leave. And in that slow, shimmering silence, you begin to understand. Dust doesn't just cover things. It connects them. Every room you've entered, every word you've spoken, every tear you've shed, it's all still here. Folded into the air, waiting to be remembered. Maybe that's what memory really is. Not a photograph in the mind, but a fine layer of meaning that settles over everything we touch. We call it aging, but it's more like softening. The sharp edges fading into something truer. Time doesn't steal from us. It weaves us into itself. The sound of dust is the sound of belonging. Because even as we disappear, we become part of something wider. A quiet continuum of all who came before. If you sit still long enough, you can feel it, the breath of generations moving through the air. The lives that built this silence. The hands that once opened the same door. The hearts that loved in the same fragile way. Dust is proof that the world remembers. Even when we forget ourselves. It gathers where light lingers longest. Turning absence into presence. Turning loss into texture. We live thinking we need to leave something behind. A monument, a mark, a story. But maybe the smallest trace is enough. The chair slightly worn from the way we sat. The echo of our laughter in someone else's memory. Not everything we build needs to last. Some things are meant to fade beautifully. That's the mercy of time. It erases without cruelty. It lets the earth breathe again. And in that breath, we return. Not as ghosts, but as quiet reminders. As the dust that glows in the morning light. The shimmer that catches someone's eye for no reason at all. Maybe one day, long after we are gone, someone will open a forgotten drawer. And in the soft layer covering what we left behind, they'll hear us. Not with their ears, but with the heart's memory. That gentle recognition of something human. Something once alive. Something that still matters. The sound of dust is the sound of life after the noise. It's the faint hum of everything that refuses to be truly lost. And if you listen closely enough, you'll hear it whisper. Not of endings, but of continuance. It says, everything returns. Every breath, every word, every touch. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is gone. We all become part of the same quiet song. The same slow rhythm that holds the world together. That is the sound of dust. The music of what remains.